Hello gorgeous, this is Melanie and we're going to start working on a project today, but first I want to show you how to clean off your board and base or one of your Chalk Couture surfaces if you've already got an image on it. So here we have the board eraser. It comes in a 2-pack. Not sure about the price, I'll put that in the bottom or at least link you to it in the description. I'm just going to get this wet over here in my pan of water, and let me go ahead and move this over a little bit. I'm going to squeeze out the excess so it's almost dry, and then I'm just going to use it to clean off my board. Now, one thing I want to point out is that if I had just done this piece and the chalk was still fairly wet or hadn't really cured, this would come off with baby wipes, but since it's been sitting here for a couple of weeks, it just takes a little bit more to clean it. And you see how easy it is. I'm not really scrubbing or anything like that. I'm just wiping it and getting it off. And there you go. That's how easy it is. So if you're gonna order something, eventually you might want to invest in the board erasers. They're super inexpensive and I think they're just super handy. So it's a nice little thing to have on hand. Now I'm gonna wipe this off with a baby wipe to get my surface prepared, and then I'm going to dry this off with a blow dryer or just my heat tool just to make sure there's no water on the surface. Then we can get started with our latest project. This is the board and base, like I said. This is a Chalk Couture surface, so of course it's got the perfectly prepped surface ready to put the chalk paste on, so it is removable, which is fabulous. It's one of the things I love most. The next thing we're going to be working with is the Looking Sharp. This is a Chalk Couture August Kit of the Month transfer. So the only way you can get this is if you are a Chalk Couture member. And so I'm going to include some information about Chalk Couture in this video. It is $19.99 a month. You not only get the transfer, this is a B size transfer, which means it's an 8.5 by 11, but you also get 3 chalk paste samples, so it's enough to do this transfer several times. This is a layered transfer, and that's something we have not done yet in any of my videos, so I want to make sure I show you how to line things up and make sure they work together. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece, all these pieces apart. You're just going to cut right on that line and get these ready. I'm going to write on the back what each item is, and then we'll get started with this transfer. All right, so I have all of my parts of this transfer labeled. I put Looking Sharp on this one, Looking Sharp body, Looking Sharp nose and cheeks, and Looking Sharp face. And that way later when I'm putting my transfers back, obviously these are different shapes, I could figure out which one goes where, but in most cases we want to make sure that we keep them separated and right on the back, just so we know which side is the back. So when we're putting the transfer back on, we're putting it on the glossy side and not this matte side. We don't want it to stick and not come back off. So that's one of the reasons we write that. The other reason is if I had multiple transfers and I was at a class and I was working with a bunch of different students and they had these laying around, they would know which one belonged to the component that they're working with, the transfer they're working with. So that's a couple of reasons why we do that. The first thing we're going to start with though is the body. And I want to line this up a little high because I'm going to allow for the words across the bottom, but I want them to come up enough to where they're not sitting down in the base and get lost, and I want them to overlap our hedgehog body. So I also want to allow for his little face, and I want this to be balanced once it's completed, so and centered. So wherever I put this one, I want to make sure that I have enough room for his face to go. So this is about where I want to put it. I'm going to leave about 3/4 of an inch on this side, and we'll get started. Here we go, you guys. Transfers won't come off the backing. Okay, now I'm going to move my items here. I've got to fuzz this piece on my fuzzing towel. There we go. Let's get him placed. I'm going to give him about 3/4 of an inch and smooth him out. Now for colors today, I'm still debating on the pink, the peony, and the guava. I'm not sure which one of these I'm going to work with. We're going to wing it. I am going to do Storm for this part of his body because I feel like it needs a nice gray. I've never opened Storm, so I'm going to show you what to do to prepare your paste for use. When you open it up, you will see it's kind of clumpy. It's just settled over time. It's been in this container. I'm going to wipe off any excess from the lid and dispose of that. And then I'm going to take one of my stir sticks and I'm going to stir this up. Now, if it is not the consistency of yogurt, then I want to add a little bit of water. I'm just going to use a fine mist spray and add a little water to it. I want this to be thin enough to spread evenly and not dry too fast on my transfer. So I'm going to take just a little bit of this and spritz and stir it up. If you ever get a chalk paste and it seems clumpy or it seems kind of dried out, you just add some water to it and you should be good to go. And take this off the side. I kind of spilled a little bit out on the edge. Never waste it. Just kidding. It doesn't take much when you're doing a project, but you don't want to waste any. Okay, so this is the consistency you would like it to be when you get started. So I'm going to take what's on my little stir stick and just use it to apply to my project. And then I'm going to take my squeegee, and I'm using the small squeegee, and I'm going to start smoothing it out. Let me hold the surface down. So you can see it's not going everywhere, but that's okay. I'm going to take my corner of my small squeegee and get a little more. I'm one of those people that likes the overkill. I like to get more than I need, but it's because I know I can scoop this back into the container and I'm going to save any excess. So that's what I'm doing. I'm taking the squeegee and I want to show you how I'm holding it. You see this little beveled edge? That's the edge that I'm going to pull against. And I'm going to wipe it off and pull against and wipe it off. I'm going to pull down and wipe it off excess and pull it down, pull it down, pull it down. Now, when you look, you can see the lines where I have pulled and overlapped. So then I want to take it in the opposite direction and smooth it out. Now, when I smooth it out, I'm kind of flattening. If you notice, the squeegee is flattening out a little bit and pulling, and that eliminates all of those lines. Now, I also want to, because this is a layered transfer, you see these little holes right here, these little targets. I want to make sure I get a little bit of color in there so that I have something to line up transfer to. Make sure I got all my excess off. Make sure there's no lines. The bigger open transfers like this, you'll see lines, but once it dries, it's not quite as obvious. I'm going to stick that squeegee down in my water, and we're going to pull this transfer off using the corners. And easy peasy, I'm going to put my transfer in my water face down, and that way it doesn't dry and make it harder for me to clean when I've completed all my projects. And I will just let that sit in there and soak. So let's work on drying this off. So what we want to do is we want to make sure this is completely dry before we work on our next part of the project, because if it's not completely dry and we lay down our transfer, our layer, and it touches it, it can totally wipe off or remove what I've got down here if it is not dry. So we definitely want to make sure this is completely dry. Like I said, I've got the lid on my paste, and then this is the one we're going to use next. In the meantime, I'm going to take my heat tool and dry this up. Now you can see our little targets here, and this is what we're going to use to line up the next part. And this feels completely dry to the touch. So let's go ahead and start with the next part. This is the first time I've done a layering transfer, so I want to make sure that I'm doing everything correct. All right, so let's go. Struggling with the backing as always. Oh my goodness. I've torn the paper. There we go. Now you'll notice in transit, this one got wrinkled and bent. I hope that doesn't affect the transfer. gonna use it anyway. I'm just hoping it's not gonna mess with it. Let me fuzz this transfer. Okay, and now I'm gonna line these up on top of these. Okay, now I'm not going to try to smooth it out too much on top of the body. I don't want to pull off my chalk here. So I'm just going to loosely apply it. So I'm going to take my Lakon. This is just a little container. I used to use it in my lip sense videos for my Neutrogena when I sent those as samples, but they're such handy little containers and they're airtight once you click them closed. I'm going to prep my paste by stirring it. And I'm going to get a little bit of white in here. I'm going to put a little bit more than just a little bit because I want to make sure I have this color for future projects. And I do have a fairly decent sized surface here. I'm going to keep the stir stick for the white out. I'm not going to put it in the container yet because in case I want to use it for something else. All right, now I'm going to take this Peony and put a chunk of that in there and stir it up. Now I want this to be, sorry my light you guys, I'm right in front of it and it's probably casting a pretty bad shadow. I want this to be a much paler pink, almost white. So I'm gonna add a little bit more white to this. And let's get this. Let's see if we can mix this one up to a really pretty pale pink. So once I have this color, once I close this Lakon, it should stay pretty wet. And it's just like any of the other chalk paste. When you open it, if you need some water to reactivate it, then it should come right back to life. I'm probably gonna add a little bit of water to this just so it's not so thick. But I think that's a really pretty pale pink. Add a little spritz of water. And stir it up. All right, so let's do our little guy. I'm gonna scoop out some on our stir stick. And close it up so it doesn't dry out and drop my stir stick in my water. And I'm going to use one of my small squeegees cut in half to spread this out. And if I need a little bit more of that color, I will just open my Lakon and get it. I just don't want that staying open because it is such a small container. I don't want it staying open too long to where it's gonna dry out quickly. All right, now let's get all of our lines out like we were talking about. And that looks pretty close to perfect. Now I am gonna go ahead and put on the targets some more of this pink because I feel like this is a lighter color. It might be easier to see when I line up the next part. So let's do that, and then let's pull this off and make sure it hadn't stuck to my gray transfer. Okay. Oh my gosh, she's so stinking cute. So darn cute. All right, so here's where we are so far. Now, let's heat set this and work with number 3 layer. So this is our third transfer. This one's also got the little targets. We're gonna make sure we line that up. I've got my first 2 sections completely dry, as far as I know. Let's fuzz our transfer. And we should be able to see how to line this up fairly easily because I used a light pink for my target. And that one looks perfect. Let's see if this one's lined up right. Could be that it's crooked. I just want to make sure that I got it completely straight. Okay, that one is dead on. So I'm gonna pull this one up. Okay, that looks right. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is so flippin' cute. All right, so I think we're gonna do Peony instead of Guava for his little nose and his little cheek. Just a little darker shade than the one that we used originally. He's just so cute, you guys. I think we need this color in his life. I'm actually not using the squeegee. I just put that down with that. And I don't need to do the targets again because this is the last part before we do the words. But I am going to use the smaller squeegee section here and just smooth that out. Make sure the nose is and the cheek is good. And let's peel it off. Oh my gosh, he's so flippin' cute. I think that was just enough pink. Just enough. All right, we're gonna set that down in the pan upside down, face down, I guess I should say. And I'm gonna wipe these off, heat set that pink, and then we're gonna do the looking sharp. Now to clean off this part, before I heat set that, I'm just gonna go ahead and clean this off. I'm just gonna use my little spritz. You could use your water if it was clean. I'm just gonna use this and take it on a Q-tip and wipe off those little sections there before it's completely cured. And there we go. I want to make sure I don't have any residue. And there we go. So now let's heat it. Isn't he cute? Actually, I think it's a she. I really think she needs to be a she. Last step, looking sharp. Now I want to determine where this is going to sit in my base so that I know where this word needs to go. So we're going to do it about like that. So I'm going to overhang it about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch off the end when I line it up. I still have not decided yet what color this is going to be. I mean, it needs to be one of the colors I've used to replicate and to repeat. So I'm thinking pink, but I think it needs to be a darker pink. I don't know. So what I thought about, I actually stopped the video and I went and had dinner and I gave it some thought. And I decided to use this pink that I mixed up yesterday to use on the Create Your Own Sunshine project that I did. This is Peony and Raspberry Sorbet mixed together. So it's kind of a medium pink. So what I thought is I have this light pink here. I've got this little darker pink with the Peony, and then I would just use another tone of that same pink on the looking sharp. And let's see how this is going to look. Sometimes you just don't know until you try, right? So we're gonna do it. I'm going to use the other small piece of my squeegee. I'm gonna stir it up just a little bit. I'm actually gonna spray a little bit of water on this because it's been sitting since yesterday. I don't have a lot in here, so I gotta make sure what I've got will last and go over this whole title. All right, so it looks pretty good to me. I'm gonna put a couple of dots in here, spread this out. Sorry y'all, my nose has just been so crazy. My allergies have been horrible. All right, and let's get this over here. Sorry my hand is blocking. I apologize for that. I know it's horrible angles. I'm trying to come up with a plan on how to set up my camera so that I can see you guys, you can see me, and that you can also see what I'm working on. All right, I'm taking that excess and I'm putting it back into my little Lacon and getting this excess off, and then we are gonna be good to go, and I think we're gonna be finished with this project. Get this a little bit off there, dropping this down in my water and pulling it up from the corners. Crossing my fingers, crossing my fingers. Oh, I'm loving that pink. Loving it, loving it. Oh, how cute is that, you guys? I promise you, I'm going to be using something other than pink very soon. I know I have overdone the pink. I'm telling you, I think I told you in one of my first videos, pink is my signature color. I'm sorry, but it really is. I love it for everything. So let's look right here. Looks like I might have a little something tiny right there to clean up, but otherwise, he's looking sharp. You guys, actually, she is looking sharp. Now, I'm gonna put it down in here. I'm gonna dry this up. Obviously, it's not quite dry, I gotta be careful. Perfect placement for our little guy. All right, our little girl. So if you're interested in joining Club Couture, I'm gonna put all the information in the description where you can go, you can get more information. I'll add a couple of images at the end here of the video so that you can see what's included and some of the other features about the Club Couture program. You guys, if you are interested, go join the VIP group that I have. It's just getting started. We're gonna be doing lots of fun contests and stuff beginning very soon, but I wanna make sure I've got lots of people involved. So make sure you go join the group, like the page, everything is in the description. And I hope to see you back soon. And thank you as always for watching.